Okay, so hello everyone. Sorry for the inconvenience. My name is Yasmin. I am a lecturer in policing at the Institute of Policing at Staffordshire University. I'm also a PhD researcher. I have been doing research since 2017. Oof, it's a long time now. My own current PhD research is around use of artificial intelligence by police forces, although that is not what I'm going to discuss today as much as I would like to, but I wanted to focus today more on my experience in enhancing officers' engagement in learning on the PEQF program. And the reason behind that is because I have had a foot in both areas. So I've been a student and I've been a lecturer. I was a teacher's assistant before and I was a teacher before that. So I've been on both ends for a long time, and I appreciate when students get bored to death, or what they call death by PowerPoint, and I don't really enjoy it. So I put my heart and soul in every lecture that I give to make sure that I'm engaging them, I'm enhancing their understanding, and most importantly, I am making them think rather than just sitting on the receptive end, not really engaging at all or not being involved. So briefly said, I will start by defining what learner engagement is, which you probably all know, what the benefits that it offers, especially how it applies to the policing domain. And I'll also touch upon some of the specific challenges to teaching operational police officers and how these challenges could be surpassed, and not to forget the tremendous impact that technology-enhanced engagement could have, and whose responsibility is it really when it comes to learner engagement, especially in the policing context. So to start with, what is learner engagement? In fact, there are a lot of definitions. You would be surprised around what learner engagement is. There is no unanimous definition, but the one that I chose to stick with is the ability to emotionally and behaviorally engage a learner in an effective learning process. And I highlighted the words emotionally and behaviorally because you might hit one but not the other, and I'll talk more about that in a bit. And over the past decade, the conceptualization and measurement of student engagement has received increasing attention from researchers, practitioners, and policymakers alike. And student engagement has been linked to improved achievement, persistence, and retention of students within a learning setting, while disengagement and lack of involvement having a profound effect on student learning outcomes and cognitive development. But the debates around the benefits and the drawbacks of engaging students and how far should we actually go remain ongoing and basically non-subtle. So for the purposes of this presentation, we will focus our attention on the benefits of engaging operational police officers who are on the PEQF program specifically. And amongst those benefits are obviously increased operational efficiency. And we link that to enhanced interactions through engagement with peers, collaborative work, or listening to real-life examples. So by introducing new technologies and tools to the learning experience, officers can stay engaged and informed while learning in a more efficient manner, which links to enhancing efficiency. Also, the police force is constantly changing, and the way officers learn should follow that, especially with the changing crime trends nowadays and police officers being recruited to fight one sort of crime, and then on the other day, another new trending type of crime emerges that no one knows about, let alone police officers. So enhancing learning engagements for an officer is a way to ensure that they stay up to date with the latest techniques, latest strategies, latest new tools, and equipment that the bad guys could be using so that they could stop them from doing that. Enhanced learning engagement can also help officers gain interpersonal skills through dynamic discussions, critical thinking practices, and hence become more informed and better equipped to handle any situation. And since, according to Brendan Burchard, it's the engagement of learning that makes one feel alive, it is fundamental to employ various strategies to ensure that this engagement is met, especially with these kind of students. And according to Seth Godin, which I don't really agree with, but if your audience is not listening, it's not their fault, it's yours. And that's what he says. But we will touch upon this more in a couple of slides around responsibility. So whose responsibility is it to ensure that the learner is engaged? But for now, a study revealed that most police officers prefer multimodal learning styles. So starting with read, write approaches, and then apply. So learning style-based instructions and modifying the learning environment to become personalized learning experience will achieve a maximally effective learning experience based on the findings of the study. This means heavy theoretical content that student officers are expected to learn on this course, such as criminological and sociological theories of victimization, offending, and so on, are best put in context using concrete examples, such as real-life case studies, preferably high-profile cases, or taking things a step further by immersing the students in the activity through designing virtual reality case studies where officers can watch and to a certain extent engage or be included in the virtual decision-making based on the dynamics of the case. A good example to keep to the core of the design of these approaches would be Bloom's taxonomy, the revised one actually that includes creation, because that would help students remember, understand, apply, analyze, and evaluate the provided knowledge, while also allowing them to collaborate and be creative as a group, all of which contributes to a deeper, more advanced cognitive skills and abilities. Not to forget what is often referred to as war stories, which ex-police officers in the IOP are quite skilled at. I'm not, but they're quite skilled at. So they share stories from their own experiences with the students and correlate those to the theories that are being taught to enhance their engagement and reflection on real-life incidents. This ensures the emotional involvement from the definition that I just provided of the students. And I have witnessed it myself when student officers were asked to watch the Grenfell Tower documentary. So we were watching it together, and at the end of the exercise, most of us, including myself, had tears in our eyes. So if that is not emotional involvement, I don't know what emotional involvement would look like. But then what about the behavioral involvement element of the definition? This links nicely to what I mentioned earlier around digital technology becoming a central aspect of higher education, inherently affecting all aspects of the student experience. It has also been linked to an increase in behavioral, affective, and cognitive student engagement, so the facilitation of which is a central concern for most educators, especially in the higher education area. Hence, a number of avenues have been suggested to enhancing student engagement, which we all probably are familiar with, starting with group works, breakout rooms, using technology-assisted learning, sharing videos, e-learning, hosting guest speakers, and discussing real-life events, again, the war stories. If a person, for example, like me, does not have any war stories, it would be good to have a guest lecturer who has them to put the theories more in context. More specifically, a number of technologies that are recently becoming quite trending in teaching are the inclusion of short video clips within the presentation, like a break for students, and creating assignments with the focus on students actually going and doing something, an action or an exercise rather than just writing before the writing, for example, listening to a podcast, watching a TV series, or reading through a certain blog, and then reflecting and critically evaluating the information presented there. Other of my personal favorites are exercises that allow officers to use open source intelligence through social media and other platforms to correlate, for example, certain theories around trending crimes, to practice or to reflect on a trending pattern of crimes online or offline. So it could be watching or using social media and open source intelligence for behaviors of online types of crimes or of offline interactions and reactions to things away from the net. For instance, the exercises of assignment would be to browse through an open source intelligence, let's say Facebook, and look for antisocial behavior online, maybe online trends in response to a certain event, an uprising, etc. I personally aspire to implement serious gaming in training or teaching police officers. And what does that mean? That is teaching through games, whereby student officers, and this is really essential to them, would be able to engage in real time, more or less, exercises to solving crimes or attempting to solve crimes using virtual reality. And this is one of my favorites, obviously, because my PhD research aligns here because I'm looking at artificial intelligence use by police forces. So my research is mostly looking around implementing algorithms that could help enhance enhance efficiency, time efficiency, cost efficiency, labor reduction, all sorts of beneficial aspects to policing, but with the overlapping concerns around proportionality, legality, ethical implications, privacy concerns of the public with big data and algorithm decision making, etc. So that area is very sensitive to me, and implementing serious gaming, which is more or less based on algorithms and virtual reality, to train police officers aligns nicely with that, but without the implications of, let's say, without the same deep implications of privacy concerns around that. So this is what I wanted to suggest as part of this, or what I aspire to be able to implement in my teaching of police officer students. And there would be potentially a good implementation that would be similar to the first example would be the Unravel the Murder Mystery, and that is by Dracu and Lanitis in 2016, where that is a good serious game example for crime scene investigators. So people who are specializing to becoming investigators of crime scenes would be able to use this example of serious gaming to prepare a police cadet for forensic examinations. In this particular scenario, an elderly lady is found murdered in her home with 8 potential suspects. 8 potential murder weapons are hidden around the house. You can see that at the lower end of the figure here. And each possible suspect had equal opportunity and access to all the weapons. So once the trainee has found the potential weapon, they are expected to take each and every one of them to the in-game forensic lab, where they would follow the correct procedure to analyze them. The game trains 4 forensic investigation steps: registering the evidence, collection of fingerprints from the suspects and the murder weapon, matching the fingerprints, and analyzing and matching the blood. So the process users have to go through in order to perform these forensic investigations replicates the processes used by forensic departments in any police authority, more or less. So the other example, the parallel one, is the trace game, which holds a similar context by proposing a serious game, but it's a mixed reality game. So it mixes both virtual reality with actual reality. And it's called Trace Game because it aims to support the training activities of novice forensic investigators by improving their skills related to the search and recovery of trace evidence at crime scenes. The purpose of this game is to identify the greatest number of useful traces present in a crime scene that is physically reconstructed at the training site as quickly as possible. So they're doing 2 things. They're reconstructing the crime scene, and they are ensuring the proper collection of trace evidence. The effectiveness and efficiency of these 2 games were evaluated using questionnaires before and after to the trainees who experienced the softwares. And the results of the forensic examination game revealed that participants showed improvements after the game in their real-life trainings. The positive results across such different contents and scenarios suggest that serious games can be a valuable approach for any kind of police training, and potentially could be applied to different areas within police education and training. Another aspect that is fueling the ongoing debate around learner engagement would be, whose responsibility is it? Is it the lecturers? Is it the learners? Is it the institution altogether, for example, police institution or the university providing the police education? In fact, it starts with the lecturer, who would apply new tools and strategies in teaching and monitor the engagement of the student officers, who would then evaluate the teaching by providing feedback. This feedback would be reviewed by the lecturer and ideally the module lead or the course lead in an attempt to identify what works and what doesn't, and hopefully extend the successful strategies to other modules or courses. After that, it becomes a matter of ongoing evaluation of different strategies supported by the online learning technologists, who would suggest and support the implementation of new tools or techniques to enhance the learning. Hence, engaging learners is a collective responsibility where every member of this cycle in this chain has a role to play, including the learners themselves. And finally, in the words of Benjamin Franklin, tell me and I'll forget, show me and I may remember, but involve me and I will learn. This reinforces the importance of involving and engaging learners, especially to keep operational police forces motivated to learn and gain additional skills that allow them to adapt to the ever-changing advances in today's world and ultimately empower them to protect, serve, and defend. Briefly said, it is indeed worthy to invest time, effort, and costs in tools and technologies that can enhance the delivery and engagement of student officers, because the impact of this successful engagement will reflect onto their daily practice and potentially even contribute to saving lives. Thank you for your time and your attention, and if you have any questions or feedback, please ask me now, or you can use my contact information to ask me later.